Chinese riot police have been seen training with terrifying giant fork devices aimed at controlling rioters by pinning them down to the ground. Terrifying giant fork Chinese forces prepare to use on Hong Kong protesters. Now, in my opinion, this honestly doesn't look too terrifying. When I heard of the human fork, I was thinking that this thing had 3 prongs and it stabbed people, but it looks like more of a pin you up against a wall and hold you there kind of thing. Now, it looks like it's very shallow, so if you did have any size human, it would basically pin them down on the ground, or if 2 officers were there, it would trap them in a circle. So pretty crazy stuff, and I don't think that we would actually use something like this. Again, it says Chinese riot police have been seen training with terrifying giant fork devices aimed at controlling rioters by pinning them down to the ground. Again, if you see the video of how many thousands are there, millions, I mean, I don't even know, because there's 7.8 million people there. It looked like they were all in the street. It was pretty crazy. And just really, really odd. It says the 8-foot poles with the U-shaped prongs at the top are being used by both police and armed forces in practice drills as they prepare to enter Hong Kong. So this hasn't even kicked off yet. This is a big, big thing that's about to happen here. See, now, okay, the first picture shows a much wider fork, but this thing that you see here, just a full screen that does not look like fun. In fact, that looks more painful, especially on a heavier gentleman or, female there. So this is pretty crazy. And gosh, look at this guy. This protester's got shin shields or something. And then these guys are just standing there like, hey, Todd, is that guy protesting? Gosh, what is he doing? It looks like he has the tiniest baton ever. Look at that. He went to he went to the tiniest baton ever store right over there on North China Street. Really great praise. Okay, let's see here. So apparently, what is this? This looks so weird. Oh, okay. Now I totally get it. This is the training, and they're training, and those are other officers. But seriously, that was a baton, a very tiny, tiny, tiny baton. I guess they make them small over there. Dun, dun, dun. AI Wei Wai fears Tiananmen crackdown in Hong Kong. It says, watching the Hong Kong protests from afar, Chinese dissident artist Ai Weiwei fears the worst, warning of a repeat of the 1989 Tiananmen Square crackdown in Beijing. Quote, I don't think any prediction is too big, the 61-year-old told AFP in an interview in his Berlin studio. China is, quote, is a society which sacrifices anything to maintain its control, he warned. In 1989, the whole world was watching when tanks crushed the students, a peaceful demonstration. AI's bleak warning comes after 2 months of protests that have turned increasingly violent, and as Beijing has massed security forces nearby on a mainland in a show of force. It says, although most analysts consider a full-blown crackdown unlikely, fears of worse to come have hovered over the former British colony that was returned to China in 1997. AI, a longtime outspoken government critic, says he has no illusions that Beijing values order above all else. Now, think about this, though. They will not let this get out of hand, and they're not going to show the whole world that they don't control this place because they have 2 different governments, 1 country, 2 systems. I think that's their motto or whatever. Basically, Hong Kong was taken in the 1800s after the Second Opium War, I believe, and then it was actually given back by the British in 1997. So in that entire time, all the way up until 1997, they established their own government. Everything was running fine, so they kept that government and then tried to work it with China mainland. Now, China mainland's laws have been seeping back into Hong Kong, and now they're getting to the point where if you commit a crime in Hong Kong, you will then be pulled or extradited over to mainland China, and the punishment there is, well, communist punishment. They could put you in a camp for the rest of your life. They could take your organs, is by some rumors what happens. So you never know. In fact, the worse criminal you are, I heard that there's different levels of really crazy punishments. So definitely something that nobody wants. And especially in Hong Kong, which they don't even like calling themselves Chinese. They actually, a lot of them go by Hong Kongers, which I didn't even know until this whole thing started. They do not want the system or any kind of pull or leeway from China. They want to be their own, of course, country. Again, but they are not. It says, quote, "There is no other way. They can't talk about the situation or negotiate. That's not a skill they have. All they have is military and the police." So he's basically saying they're not going to go in there and say, hey, can we work this out? They're going to go in there with guns, with tanks. They're going to crush people if they don't get in line. That is the China way. Now, mind you, like I don't even feel right talking so badly about a country and saying it, it sounds like I'm some dumb American that doesn't know. But when you do your research and look at what they're doing over there, it's absolutely horrible. I disagree with it. I frankly don't understand why we give them so much business. I understand that it's an integral part of our government. We owe them a ton of money, and it's because we use everything is made in China. It's cheap work. We basically pay pennies on the dollar. Mind you, I do support the capitalist system, but again, not, giving the business to those guys. It's just very sad because the things that they do, we say, hey, you're bad, but then of course we support it. And then you've got them actually having their citizens on a social credit score. If you get too low, then you cannot travel. You're talking about if you leave your bike on the street or if you jaywalk, those kind of things lower your social credit score. If it gets too low, you are not allowed to fly or to take train tickets or, these kind of things. So it's a very scary thing. EMP Shield is the world's first and only military EMP protection device. This is Keystone tested. So this is not only tested by the military, this is for military standard. This is going into military installations. So this is how, when T-Man signed the bill to harden our grid, this is the company that they went to. In fact, they were called and had to go in and basically talk to the government. And they said, well, we're going to need this, this, and this. So these guys are working directly with the government to basically harden and protect all of these military installations, government buildings, all that. You can have that same protection in your home. That's the coolest part about this. It protects against all phases of an EMP, E1, E2, and E3. The differences are the lengths. So an E1 is an E1 peaks at about 5 nanoseconds. So we're not even talking in seconds. We're talking nanosecond, thousandths of a second. And this can actually ground the signal and save your devices or your car or your generator in as little as 1 nanosecond. Not only that, it can protect against multiple EMPs or multiple solar flares or coronal mass ejections. So if you have ever worried about being, loss of out of power because of an EMP or a coronal mass ejection, you can get professional protection for, a fifth of the cost of a deductible if your house gets struck by lightning. So this is a huge deal. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP and get this. This is the cool part. You save $50 with the promo code MARF, or you can actually fill out this to actually win. There's over 18 ways to enter, including daily bonus entries. You must go to marfooglenews.com/contest. Again, go to marfooglenews.com/contest, and they are giving more away. And this is only for the Foogle Fam. And the reason why is they have had so many emails and so many messages from people saying, we want to protect ourselves, but we can't afford it. So again, it seems like this is going to be kind of a regular thing, and we're going to try to get as many people set up with these as we can. And of course, EMP Shield is, again, made in America.
You want to know what's going on? What's really going on when it happens? Go to MarFoogleNews.com and get Marfoogle alerts along with a Discord invitation where you can find your local state group and get together with the Foogle Fam. You'll find fast friends where you'll share prep and intel, and there's even special groups for former and current military. But don't try and steal the valor of those who have really served. It won't go well for you. The Marfoogle Fam is waiting for you.